We are approaching GSY Gosley from the north, outside the 30 degrees angle, so not ready for a direct outbound leg for the approach. Except with a clearance from the ATC, we have to proceed for the full approach. So expecting an entry into the holding pattern to position for the procedure turn. As we know we have to enter a hold, we stop any other task to be prepared when we reach the holding fix. We use the holding preparation 5 steps. 1. Reduce the speed, no need to rush to go into an holding pattern. 2. Confirm the frequency and identification of the holding navigator or the GPS to waypoint. 3. Confirm that the bearing we use to navigate on the RMI is set on the holding navigator or GPS. 4. Set the CDI type and needle tail on the holding radial. 5. Compute the holding entry with type of entry, first heading and way of first turn. Refer to the IFR training video related to the holding entries and patterns for this. Obviously, this is a parallel entry, first radial 074 degrees and first turn is left turn. It is a radial interception from passing overhead the beacon and, while it is not stated as such in the EASA regulations, it is a good practice to intercept the outbound entry radial, so we adopt the 1/3 of the angle of difference concept. Refer to the IFR training video related to interceptions and tracking. To avoid remaining in the non-protected side of the holding, we adopt an initial heading of 074 degrees minus 25 degrees, 1/3 of 75 degrees difference between our arrival track of 150 degrees and the outbound radial of 074 degrees, equals 050 heading more or less. Next step will then be, when passing the beacon, turn left heading 050 to intercept and follow the radial 074 degrees from Gosley. Of course, we must wait to exit the silence cone of the VOR in this case to start the turn. Now, passing overhead the VOR and out of the silence cone, we start the turn and we use the next step concept. Turn to the determined heading of 050. Time, set the timer on for the entry timing of 1 minute. Twist everything that has to be twisted as, GPS, navigate frequency, radio frequency, DME, bearing 1, bearing 2, CDI, minimas, all if required. Talk, report the holding entry to the ATC, Foxtrot Golf Zulu Juliet X-ray entering the holding over Gosley at 4,000 feet. Throttle, check your power setting against your airspeed in case of icing and check visually your wing state. Next step will be after 1 minute, turn left to return to the navigate on direct course. After 1 minute, we may start the left turn back direct to the holding fix. As always, we use the next step concept. Turn, set the heading bug taking the wind into account and use the RMI to set course directly to the holding fix. Time, set the timer to off as it is no longer needed on this leg. Twist, no change is required during the holding except ATC request. Talk, no talk is required except ATC request. Throttle, confirm power setting, speed in accordance and icing check. Next step will be overhead the fix, turn right on outbound course corrected by the wind. Here, we are leaving the holding pattern to continue the procedure with the procedure turn outbound on A278 degrees radial, so, according to the interceptions theory, we should be inbound to the fix with a heading of about 220 degrees, and should leave outbound on the 278 degrees radial, which makes an angle of difference of nearly 60 degrees. 1/3 is 20 degrees. So when turning outbound, we continue the turn after passing 278 degrees until reaching plus 20 degrees, making it 298 degrees to intercept the radial 278 degrees. Hopefully, we have a ground track bug, magenta diamond, that we will put on 298 degrees to obtain the correct attack for interception. Passing the initial approach fix IAF, we have to start the procedure turn outbound. Once again, we use the next step concept. Turn, set the heading bug taking the wind into account and set course to the predetermined interception course of 298 degrees. Time, set the timer to on as this outbound leg is timed 1.5 minutes. Twist, twist the CDI to the new outbound radial of 278 degrees. Talk, report passing Gosley outbound on the positioning procedure turn. Throttle, confirm power setting, speed in accordance and icing check. Next step will be, after 1.5 minutes, turn left to intercept and fall in the radial 254 degrees inbound on a track 074 degrees. We will keep an attack to be sure to intercept that radial correctly, according the wind. At the end of 1.5 minutes, we can turn left inbound to the IAF intercepting the radial 254 degrees inbound. As always, we use the next step concept. Turn, set the heading bug taking the wind into account and set course to the predetermined interception course of 110 degrees, 30 degrees interception angle. Time, set the timer to off as this inbound leg does not require a timing. Twist, twist the CDI to the new inbound radial of 254 degrees. Talk, no report to be done except on ATC request. Throttle, confirm power setting, speed in accordance and icing check. Next step will be, after passing IAF inbound, continue on the outbound radial 074 degrees, so we keep the same track, for 10.5 DME on Gosley DME. Overhead the initial approach fix, continue the next step and intercept the radial 074 degrees outbound for 10.5 dme. Next step concept. Turn, set the heading bug taking the wind into account and set course to the outbound track. Here, no track change as our outbound course is equal to the inbound course. Time, keep the timer to off as this inbound leg does not require a timing. Twist, leave the CDI on the actual setting of 254 degrees radial inbound, the flag will switch to, from. Talk, report passing the IAF outbound on the procedure. Throttle, confirm power setting, speed in accordance and icing check. Next step will be, descent to initial altitude of 3,000 feet and, at 10.5 dme, turn left on a localizer interception heading, 30 degrees of attack track with a magenta diamond. If you are cleared for approach, you may descend according the chart vertical schedule. If not, you cannot descend without an ATC clearance. When cleared for descent, perform the descent checklist. When cleared for approach, perform the approach checklist. Reaching the 10.5 DME point, you can turn left to a localizer intercept heading, typically a 30 degrees intercept heading. As usual, another next step concept. Turn, set the heading bug to the intercept heading, about 275 degrees. Time, no timer is required. Twist, check GPS is sequenced for the ILS, activate the ILS frequency, set the go-around frequency if any on Nav 2, check radio frequencies, check or set the bearing 1 and the bearing 2, bearing 1 on Nav 1 which is useless on ILS frequency but will come alive during the go-around when you activate the VOR frequency on Nav 1, bearing 2 on ADF for the outer marker check, CDI on ILS and front course checked, meaning is confirmed, timer ready if needed. Talk, if required, report turning inbound. Throttle, check power setting, airspeed in accordance and check icing clues. Next step, next will be lock alive. Lock alive. Next step will be on the lock. On the lock, next step will be glide alive. Glide alive. Next step will be glide 1 dot. Glide 1 dot, select flaps approach, next step will be on the glide. On the glide, perform the 5 Gs. Gear, select the gear down. Glide, follow the glide path. Go timer, if needed, start the timer. Go around altitude, set. Green lights, check gear and flaps lights. Next will be outer marker check. Tracking the lock and glide. Use only limited corrections to avoid overcorrecting. To correct the lock, use maximum 5 degrees heading correction and wait for the result. Adapt if necessary. To correct glide, use maximum 2 degrees pitch correction and wait for the result. Adapt if necessary. Always continue the scanning of lock and glide, do not stay focused on one parameter only. Do not leave your eyes out of the parameters for more than a few seconds or you will leave your path. You may activate the marker sound on the COM panel for reminder. Passing the outer marker, check the blue O light flashing, the ADF needle flipping over and the crossing altitude, here 1,800 feet. Next will be 1,000 feet ground for approach band check. 1,000 feet ground, 1,600 feet AMSL, approach band check. Approach band says that you can start an approach regardless of the actual weather conditions, you must have your minimas when crossing the 1,000 feet AGL point. If not, you must discontinue the approach. If you lose your minimas after passing this 1,000 feet AGL point, you can continue down to the minimas.
2 mile final
if
runway
1,000 feet
24.
AGL is below your minimas, use the FAF as checkpoint for the approach ban. Next will be 500 feet above minimas for stabilize and checklist check. To check your RVR at the approach band point if weather is marginal and you are not sure, just grab your mic and request to the ATC. RVR check. 500 feet above minimas, check stabilized and checklist completed. Next will be 100 feet above minimas.
500.
100 feet above minimus, start quick look outside to search for visual references. Do not move the flight controls while moving your head. If no visual references, come back on instruments. Next will be minimas. Minimas. If visual contact, continue. If no visual contact, go around. If going around, apply the go-around procedure. Have a look at the chart if you do not remember, straight ahead on radial 244 until 6 DME Gosly, then right turn to the VOR. ATC might give you another route depending on their needs. Next will be level off at 3,000 feet or 6 DME Gosly. Perform the after takeoff checklist. Level off at 3,000 feet QNH. At 6 DME Gosly, turn right back to the IAF. Now, inbound to the IAF, you have the choice. You can proceed to the IAF and enter a hold to wait for better weather conditions if an improvement is foreseen. Or you can restart another approach with a clearance from the ATC when passing Guslie. Or you can decide to divert to your destination alternate airport.